Hello friends, today we are going to be remaking that World War II mail order pattern into this dress. This is actually the fabric that I originally wanted to do this dress pattern in, and so I am finally getting around to making it. This project hits a couple different goals. First goal, this is going to be my spring Easter dress. I felt that this was appropriate. It is a bit floral, but still a pretty thick fabric, so still warm. It's spring in Arkansas. You never know if it's going to be 80 degrees or 55 degrees. The second goal of this project is that there is a World War II challenge issued by the Vintage Guidebook, So Biased, and Thistle and Stitches. It is going to make a garment that meets the ration rules of World War II. Any era, any style, and any skill level welcome. Before we get into the project, I would also like to point out I started a full-blown manic phase a couple days before starting this project and did not realize it until the very end of this project, and I am down now. That being said, my thoughts are all over the place. So the first step in not following this process through, I take out my patterns. If you remember from the last time we did this pattern, our first draft, it was very big, and I said that I needed to take out a 1/2 inch from all the side seams. So I thought that I would just do a 1-inch pleat from top to bottom of the pattern, half from both sides would be 1, right? No. When you make the pleat, you fold in 1 inch and over 1 inch. So that's 2 inches that you're taking out, not the 1 inch of the pleat. So instead of taking a 1/2 inch from both sides, I took a full inch away from both sides. So the pattern did get a little bit snuggly on me. I tried to pin together my basic really long seams so I could just go at the machine. Got my sides done, my back done, halfway up the front done, tried it on. Surprise, it didn't quite fit. Okay, I'm weirdly shadowy, but we're not gonna fix that right now. I tried the dress on so far, pulling it over my head, and it did get a little bit stuck around my traps, which, that happens. So perhaps folding in everything by a full inch was not as much taking away that I needed to do. But since I have this piece back here, I feel like I can probably still maintain this little extra bit around the back opening if I take some of this extra dress fabric and make just a little insertion panel in the back. Oh, and that way I only need to unpick the one seam, so that sounds pretty convenient to me. Then I went ahead and attached the yoke. One of the original design features of this garment was that it had some gathering from the shirt blouse part into the yoke, and because we took off more than was necessary, it didn't really gather, so the gathering wasn't an issue in the back because it had the extra room for the box pleat. Yeah. There's my box pleat, there's my one box pleat. So once I get the yoke attached, then I get to make the collar. Another thing that I wasn't thrilled about with the original garment was that I thought that the collar was a little bit too wide. I think that I just took maybe 1/4 to a 1/2 inch off of the width. To do the collar, right sides together, sew around, clip your edges, turn it inside out.
Here's the green. It's almost the same green, so it blends in really well, but I think that I like the little bit of contrast that these brown ones go, because they have like those gold undertones. I think it just really works with this. So let's see if significant other agrees.
White people taco night. We're getting taco shells from the grocery store and ground beef from the grocery store.
So we have these 4 buttons or these 5 buttons. What is your preference?
5 is bigger than 4.
So you think that the more buttons the better? Or
I actually really like the look of these guys.
okay.
Kind of reminds me of a tiger's eye.
Okay.
If this is the fabric, yeah, I think if you're going for more of like a low key, something to complement it, I think these make sense.
Okay.
Those, I think, would stand out as the buttons more. Maybe that's a style.
So which would be your preference? Because I know what my preference is. I want to see if it's your preference.
I think my preference would be the tiger's eye ones.
That is mine too. You chose correctly.
This is how it fits right now. I'd say we're doing pretty well so far. The pockets, I don't know, maybe they're a little low, but it's not bad. And that definitely wasn't because I was sewing down the seam and realized that I completely forgot to put the pocket in already. Don't look at me like that. Good fit. I'm cold without the sleeves. Of course, it's 60 degrees outside and I'm cold, so that definitely sounds like me. I need to redo where this type of placement is because you can still see the white. Then hemming the bottom after we fix the color situation. The sleeves, obviously, so I'm not freezing. And yeah, I think that we should be good. Enjoying your game?
Music is fantastic.
Oh. That music is adorable. I will say that music is adorable. The first half of the collar you can machine sew to your garment, but you have to hand stitch the rest, and I did the hand stitching with an invisible stitch. Pretty easy. Okay, I have the collar all stitched down now. Yeah, this looks good. The only thing that I'm second guessing myself on now is this is where I want the top button to be, and I think that with my spec I could have button here and here. They can't be too close because of World War II spec. I can potentially do the 2 extra buttons on the wrist as well. So, a little excited about that. Do I want to start the sleeves first, or do I want to start the buttonholes first? Getting the sleeves, I think that I'm going to go with getting the sleeves started so that I can do the buttonholes for the front and the sleeve cuffs at the same time. That sounds like a good idea. Does it sound like a good idea to you? Oh, also, my raw edges are pinked because I can't overlock or do the zigzag stitch to finish my seams because of World War II spec, and I am on a thread dye. Once again, if you were here for the original first draft of this pattern, they basically said, yeah, we're not giving you a pattern piece for a sleeve cuff. You figure that out on your own. So I figured that out on my own. My brain was not within my body at that point, so I don't quite remember what I did. Hopefully I filmed that. I did want to give it like this little triangle tabby bit though. So I made sure that there was extra room for that. Well, I'm orange again and it's not wanting to correct. Did forget to film it, but took a strip of fabric, wrapped it around my palm, that it's not like super scrunched up, it's just around my palm, and cut it so that this is the measurement of my palm. Yeah, this is about 8 inches, so I cut out 10.5 inches of just a rectangle, then folded up both sides in is that a 1/2 inch? So folded that in a 1/2 inch, and this is going to be my wrist cuffs. I'm going to cut a little triangle out on this part to be my little tabby bit, and that will have the buttonhole. And I also decided that it would probably be a good time to mark out 4 inches from the bottom so that I can do my 2-inch hem, because World War II spec. So I'm folding it in by that 1/2 inch and ironing it down. After I get everything ironed down, I'm going to fold that up to where the folded part just kisses the marking that I made.
What did I do next?
Okay, did the hem, but back to the sleeves because mania and thoughts are disjointed. I cut out 2 little rectangles, and on the sleeve I marked back, like this is approximately 1/4 of the way through the sleeve, but it's like on the back part, and that's where I'm gonna put these. Ooh, I need to drink water, calm down, drink water, calm down.
This will make more sense. Okay, you see that little notch where I made that marks like the 1/4 in? I'm taking this and I'm just going to center the center line on that little notch. As you can see, I have already done that on this sleeve. This line is very faint, but it is there. I am going to sew up this line, boink, boink, and sew down that line. Then what I am going to do, I'm going to cut up this middle line and then flip it inside out. You see? You will see.
So, sewed that up, gathered the sleeve, and sewed it into this. Okay, so both of my sleeves, I have my slit thing, my bob, installed. Manic Brain said that I needed to hand tack those down so these stitches would be less visible. Don't know why, not gonna argue with Manic Brain. Then I sewed up the rest of the sleeve and pinked the edges on that. Have it, the non-puffy part, pinned in place, and I am gathering the puffy part. But yeah, Manic Brain is determined to finish this dress tonight. It's just like, you know what, we're ready for bigger, better things. We gotta get this off the to-do list. So it's, ooh, I need to change over my laundry. I need to focus on one task. Went to the bottom and kind of measured out where it was going to be on my cuff, like how I wanted my cuff to sit, and gathered into the cuff. So then top stitched the cuff. Then I top stitched the gathers into the cuff.
I can use a max of 5 buttons, and they need to be a minimum of 4 inches apart. This is where I want my top button. And I measured out, this happens to be 4 inches. There and there. So I have a line here, 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 and like the very bottom is the next 4 inches. So three buttons should be absolutely perfect for this. I'm gonna go ahead and get my buttonhole foot. Oh, and then we do shoulder pads. Forgot about shoulder pads. Can't forget about shoulder pads.
I'm just gonna put on some fray check because that's how I was taught to make buttonholes. Fray check just needs to set for a little bit, so I was just gonna make dinner while that set. I'm actually starting to get one heckaroony of a headache. That might be because it's midnight and I pretty much forgot to eat since lunch, but I got my shoulder pads out, I got my buttons that are ready to go on, and those should be the last steps for the dress. There, if you keep sniffing my leg, by the time I close these buttons, you are going to get the ups. I interpret that as you want the ups, okay? You want the ups? Oh, you do want ups! Hello! Oh, my good boy. Oh, my good boy. Oh, yes, yes. Oh, what a fluffy boy. What a fluffy boy. Oh, down. You want down now? You want downs? Okay, we get downs. We get downs. Woo! Squirmy boy. Yeah, I think that putting the shoulder pads in at the center point where it marked on here, put them a little bit far back on me. I want to move them like an inch forward and then tack down the edges right there. So just move the shoulder pads an inch forward and give it a little soaky washeroony and pop it in the dryer.
we're good.
I honestly did not check for synthetic materials like nylon in the shoulder pads. These are just shoulder pads that I got out of the clearance section at Joann's. Looked in the mirror and adjusted about where I wanted this shoulder pad to be. Pinned it very, very well in place. Figured out where the markings were, where this shoulder pad was. Transferred the markings to have it be in the same location on this shoulder pad. Hand sewed, I whip stitched that in place along the seam edges. And Saturday, it was a high of like 78 degrees, so it was a little toasty to be wearing a thick cotton long sleeve garment. So the next day, Sunday, it's a church day, just happened to be a high of 61 degrees today. Pugs were not thrilled about that. They did not like getting their bones a little bit chilled on their morning WALK. When it got a little bit sunnier, I was able to do the reveal shots that you will see now. I didn't actually iron this, so I think if I did iron, then I would alleviate some of the issues of that little flappy bit right there, and I think that some puckering happened in the hem of the skirt that wasn't there before I threw it in the wash. I already shrunk the fabric, so I don't think that the fabric needed to shrink anymore because I already washed it. So perhaps it was just needs to be ironed and that will just go away. It's definitely a thing that if I had measured twice, cut once, it would alleviate a bit of an issue where it's just slightly snuggly when you're putting it on and off. But I do need to write it down on the pattern that I need to fix my little pleating mistake and only do the 1/2 inch pleat instead of full inch pleat to take out a 1/2 inch from both sides. It just isn't sitting 100% right because I took out the too much of the sides and then added it back in right over my butt. But it's a busy pattern. The reason why 40s did busy patterns was so if these things happen and you need to piece a garment, nobody notices. I am overall very happy with this project. I did get a little bit extra of this fabric, so my leftovers is 1.4 yards and then some change because of the weird strip that was the way that I cut it out. So what do you think that I should use 1.4 plus-ish yards of fabric with this particular fabric? Along with any questions, comments, or concerns down below. New videos should be up on Fridays, not every Friday though, so if I were you, I would like, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon so you know when I actually do post. Thank you so much for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Did that one draft of... Excuse you. Behold the void. Everything I drink out of is covered in lipstick. My brain is going blank.
Oh, do I have a bear as a visitor?
You don't look like a dog. I'm looking at the viewfinder. You don't look like a dog. You look like a box. Or a potato. You're a very potato. You're a full potato. You just have like 5 beverage containers right now.